Hi everybody, welcome back to another Paper Pioneer Live. It's me, Oldie Dave, back on my actual channel, and I'm here with Jay. Jay, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Dave. How are you?
Well, I'm good, thank you. And we are here in season 2, watching some great Pioneer action. And here tonight, watching Demir Control, or Demir Archfield combo, actually, is probably the better definition for it. This is a spicy little Greasefang deck that's actually included Smuggler's Copters since the recent unban. What's your thoughts?
I like Smuggler's Copters. I'm not sure Greasefang is the right deck for it, although I do know that this player, Ben, is playing with Stitcher's suppliers to sort of make the most of the Copter, which I think is good. However, you don't really want to be bringing Copter back with Greasefang. It doesn't really get you that much value, and I don't think there's a high enough creature density in the deck for Copter to be good.
No, kind of feeling the same. There's Eldritch evolutions in the deck as well to sort of like do this sort of turn 1 Stitcher Supplier, turn 3 find a Greasefang. Solid idea. Let's see how it plays out. I'm more on the Smuggler's Copter in maybe like a Rakdos Sat kind of build. I feel like that's more the way that it's going to find a place back in the meta, or even just a straight up Rakdos aggro. But we'll see. But the players are shuffling up. I didn't see who won the role. I think it might have been the Greasefang player.
Yeah, I'm not sure who won the role either. On the left here, we have Jack playing Demir Archfiend combo. For those who aren't aware, the combo is Archfiend of the Dross, Metamorphic Alteration, make one of the opponent creatures an Archfiend with no counters, pass the turn, and they lose on upkeep. Quite a cool combo, reminiscent of the old Splinter Twin combo from Modern.
Yeah, absolutely. With the way that the recent counter spells have played out coming into Pioneer, it sort of does become like a mid-range control start, and then turns into very much like I've got a big thing, and I got a big thing which can threaten killing you, and also comboing you out. So having to respect it, but here's what we thought, and the anime Stitcher suppliers. So +1 for the
I'm
anime
gonna
waifu in the chat.
I'm gonna have to say -1 for the anime Stitcher suppliers.
No.
Although I have to say, I do like the, I believe that's Sauron in the art of that Consider. I believe that is the best art for Consider.
In all fairness, the Lord of the Rings reprints of some staples are absolutely solid. And talking about super cards, we have seen a Ledger Shredder, another solid inclusion in this deck because you just want to cycle through to that combo. Still very dangerous and still very potent.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like the Dimir player is sort of going for an aggro game plan that transitions into the combo once they get up to enough lands, which is really hard to deal with because usually, decks only have so much removal. They're going to have to use this removal early on, and then they don't have the removal for the Archfiend. And here we see a suicide attack by Stitcher's supplier.
On purpose, though, because they were looking to fuel their graveyard with as much as they possibly can. With a room command, possibly killing the Stitcher supplier. Not sure what the targets are. So that's gain 2, draw 2, and then milling 3. So took the life gain. But that Greasefang is not coming back to hand because you can only grab a land from the Witherbloom command. So that is miss number 1 on the Greasefang.
But it in the graveyard, this can't stay away. That could be quite helpful. We did see them pick up a Boseiju, which actually does stop the combo of Metamorphic Alteration and Demir Archfiend.
Sure, exactly right. And getting in with the getting in with the Ledger Shredder here, and looking at the Greasefang player's hand, we did look like we saw another Grizzly Salvage. No Greasefang as of yet. The hit is not that big. Only a Ezekiel's Chariot at the moment, which is a threat, but ones I'm sure the Demir player can actually deal with. And there's a Stitcher supplier.
Yeah. So I believe I saw a Chrome Host Seed Shark in the hand of the Demir player, but it looks like that they've chosen to instead just pass the turn. So I wonder what they're keeping up. They're clearly afraid of Greasefang. Oh, and we see 2 Stitcher supplier set.
Just Stitcher supplier aggro. Let's go. 3-1-1 straight up there. However many you put up there, though, Ben, he's not going to block him because he knows what that does for you. There is currently 10, 11. Oh, and that's another Another Greasefang. How did that get there? From the block of the.
It's from the
Stitcher supplier?
ETB of the Stitcher supplier.
Oh, so that was only
Yeah.
just resolving.
So there was a connive trigger on Ledger Shredder from the second spell, and then the Stitcher supplier entered the outfield, which caused the mill. Oh,
So
I think I just saw a Cling to Dust in Demir Combo's hand.
oh, this game's over. I think it's very difficult here, unless there's a major transition to getting a Ezekiel's Chariot out naturally on turn 4 here. This could be a lockout as far as the Greasefang player is concerned, especially because there's 2 Greasefangs in the bin. We haven't seen a Can't Stay Away in hand yet. There was only 1 in deck from what we saw on the list for this player, so we'll see how it transpires though. Thinking about what to do. Potentially thinking about the aggro plan, because they haven't seen anything yet. So like, it's 19 plays 16. Like if you keep going 3 to 2 and you get maybe a Fiend's Informant down, or an aggro plan's not out of the window.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. 13 life is not the highest of life totals. 3 damage a turn from the Stitcher supplies does add up, and the Ledger Shredder doesn't grow that fast in this kind of matchup. Ooh, I think I saw off that opt a Graveyard Trespasser, which it probably is not very good for the Greasefang player.
Yeah, the Greasefang player, who I really do hope understands they're off their main game plan yet. But they're holding up 4 mana end of turn here, which potentially suggests that Takanuma's Abandoned Mine is coming on the end step here.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
They'll be grabbing Greasefang and they'll be very disappointed, but ultimately, you gotta play your cards, right? And smartly, the Graveyard Trespasser taking the Skyclave, because that would have cleared away if it had come back off a future Greasefang. No, okay, no. Oh, I think they just drew it. I think they just literally had just removal and nothing. Oh, okay. Trouble ahead, I think. Playing the Seiju. That was one of the outs, the combo. So that's put them in danger.
Okay, so what are they playing? Oh, Eldritch Evolution. So they will be going to get Greasefang. They'll be milling 3 off the Stitcher supplier, and they'll go and get Greasefang put onto the battlefield. There is a Parhelion off the top, however, we do know about the Cling to Dust in Jack's hand.
So this is an interesting position to start thinking about if you're the Greasefang player. Do you kind of like suck up the Parhelion trigger, going for the Parhelion, taking away the Cling to Dust, or do you try and sneak an Ezekiel's Chariot out on the basis that they can see you have the Parhelion? So maybe they'll give you the Ezekiel's Chariot, or use the Cling to Dust, and then hopefully you've got a next turn. I don't know if there's actually a better line.
I think they need to go for a highest upside here. I think if there is a Cling to Dust, they're doing pretty badly anyway. So I think they just want to go for the highest upside, especially since the Seeker's Chariot doesn't even look like it's very good against a board of 2/4 Ledger Shredder and a 3/3 Graveyard Trespasser.
I suppose, and the moment you've gone to combat after that Greasefang resolves, you know that it's not Fatal Push. So yeah, fair. This is still bodies on the board, but with the Stitcher supplier grown as they have, and obviously the Graveyard Trespasser being there, they will die in combat. So maybe a couple of turns of a slower game here. Yeah, didn't do the mill, which is important. And there's a Can't Stay Away. So this is one of the tricky things playing Greasefang sometimes, is just keeping that graveyard reasonably respectable for yourself, but also your opponent. It's kind of like one of those mind gamey things, right, that people talk about. But for me, when I'm playing Greasefang, I like to keep my relevant cards in one pile versus effectively trash in the other. Some will say, like, do literally this, because they want to be sure. But I like to that's kind of exactly how I do it, how Ben's done it there.
Yeah, I think in friendly tournaments it's probably nice to do that. But in more competitive events, there is a slight advantage to having all of your graveyard all muddled together. Of course, the opponent is, allowed at any time to look through your graveyard. but just not having the information so easily accessible all the time might give you a measure of advantage. Although I have seen some pros of the Pro Tour play in the relevant and irrelevant graveyard way that you've described.
Swinging in then, so
taking out the chariot. So it looks like that, there's a Greasefang in play. Greasefangs aren't a problem. They just want to get rid of all of the artifacts, vehicles that Greasefang can bring back.
And they're taking away Can't Stay Away, which is an important... Oh no, they haven't taken away Can't Stay Away. We've just put it to the relevant pile, so to speak. A triple block, probably fair. You have a Greasefang, you just want more hits, and you just want more hits in the yard. Thoughtseize kind of irrelevant at this point.
So there we go, triple block.
Taking 9, milling 9. There's the copters. So
although
lots of fodder.
I think that's not that bad for Jack playing Dimir combo, just because those Stitcher supplies were 3 damage a turn. They were quite annoying. Being able to take them out also impacts the effectiveness of Smuggler's Copter, which we see 3 were milled.
Yeah,
just then.
They were good. They were good top decks actually. Yeah, but so you can't play this game with hindsight. And Thoughtseize in a way. 2 Parhelions. Okay. Usually the dream Thoughtseize for a Greasefang player. In this position though, look how many cards are there in the graveyard for the escape cost. This is Cling to Dust City.
Yes. So really, if you have enough cards in your graveyard, you can Cling to Dust every turn, and you can only do the Greasefang trigger once each turn. So you basically lock them out of being able to get the value from Greasefang, because you just get to Cling to Dust every turn. You just have to have enough cards in graveyard, have your 4 lands open, and you'll be good. Which I think is what Jack is planning to do. Just lock down the opponent. And it looks like they're not planning on winning fast. I've seen that they've had an Archfiend in their hand for ages and they've chosen not to play it. It looks like they're just playing not to lose at this point, which is, a fair thing to do in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, they have the mana now. They just want to draw out to the combo, win the game when it happens. In the meantime, yes, just gonna slowly Cling to Dust away. There's another one coming. The despair in the Ben's side of things, where he just went, move to combat and just wave the Pylon around as if to be like, I know what's going. But what are we doing?
Yeah.
Okay, we can't stay away. Going for, I'm gonna guess a Rafine's Informant. So
I think this is good. They just want more damage, really. And you know what? Jack doesn't have forever to win this game. Eventually, Ben can get up to enough mana where he can just hardcast a Seeker's Chariot or a Smuggler's Copter or a Parhelion, if there are any left. So that is one consideration for Jack, having to close out this game. And also 7 life, Greasefang and Rafine's Informant, that is lethal. That is 7 damage on the board. I don't think they'll be able to attack with Ledger Shredder.
No, fair, absolutely fair. Tapped out though, and there's going to be no defense to the combo if we see it. I think it's there.
Is it there? Surely they would just slam it.
No, you like people like to drag it out in F&M sometimes as well. Not in this case though. That was too long a stay. Maybe they that realization that this is not a free attack, and
I think they're worried about dying on the crackback. And if they don't play something like a creature, or a blocker or a removal spell, any removal spell off the top for Abzan Greasefang, if they play any, would be game. So that is a big consideration. I think I saw a Ledger Shredder in their hand.
Yeah, there's definitely a Ledger Shredder, making sense. We're seeing, I think, a dig through time.
I don't think they can dig through time because they desperately need the cards in the graveyard for Cling to Dust.
Oh yeah, I just mean in the hand. We see a dig through time.
Oh yeah. It's dig through time, Chrome Host, Seed Shark, and Archfiend. That's what it looks like. Oh, and we see a Thoughtseize.
Okay. I guess at this point don't want them to.
The-
Tough because
I think the best option here is Archfiend because it's the only card that can win the game on the spot.
yeah, there should have been the point of realization for Ben that this is going to be the combo if you're not careful. So get rid of it. There's already been an Archfiend go to the bin, so that should already be in their thought process. But it's F&M. It's a Friday night. They could have a pizza on their lap. They're not always paying attention.
All right, I think that was potentially one of the worst possible picks, just because we just discussed why they couldn't use Dig Through Time because of the necessity to keep cards in the graveyard for Cling to Dust. So I'm a bit confused by Ben's reasoning with that one.
Yeah, essentially a throw there, to be honest.
Yeah. In fairness, Dig Through Time out of those cards is definitely the most powerful in 99% of other scenarios, but in this scenario, Dig Through Time was probably not the choice. And here we see them try to get Smuggler's Copter back with Greasefang, and we just see another Cling to Dust. I guess they could have held off on the Cling to Dust if they didn't view the Smuggler's Copter as worthy enough.
Yeah.
But they also didn't have another play. They get an extra card off the Cling to Dust.
Looking at the size of the Ledger Shredders, though, they're getting very close to just lethal swings on their own. If there's a lot of cantrip ability coming on the other side, need to be sensible here from the Greasefang player's point of view, though, because if they play their second spell for a turn, that's a lot of Shredder triggers.
Yeah, that really is. Yeah, I think that there's a huge clock on the Greasefang player at the moment. I think that they feel like they need to act soon because those Ledger Shredders have the potential to get big enough to wipe them out. They're big enough to block anything the Greasefang player can put down at the moment. And also the Archfiend combo can come in and stop them. I think the Jack is just confused here. And so is trying to think of what could be done. Like what sort of combat tricks? Do you think Greasefang plays Iganjo, Seat of the Empire?
I don't think so. I think this is just an attempt to maybe trade off the bigger Ledger Shredder, which is a silly play because it's not a trade. Looking at the size, and now they're gonna play okay. This game's just been thrown. This is possibly the worst game we've seen on the channel from a Greasefang player, but hey, we're about to see the second spell. I think that's what Jack's trying to just double check because then they realize themselves that there's two Ledger Shredder triggers here. They're going to be able to cantrip some more Ledger Shredder triggers in their turn. To rub salt into the runes, it'd be just hilarious to see the Greasefang the Dimir Archfiend combo come next turn. It will just, let's just see it play out. But yeah, triggers incoming.
Yeah, so we got the two Ledger Shredder triggers. I think it makes sense from Greasefang in a way. If the Ledger Shredders weren't there, they sort of suicided a Greasefang, which, I don't know, in their mind doesn't really matter them that much. And they, if they dealt 4 damage because of the bluff, it could have mattered quite a bit. So it wasn't the most brain dead move possible.
You sometimes make the move that in hindsight looks terrible, but in the game state that you had, it was like the only way you could potentially win. A bit like I've heard people talk recently about hoping in Modern the One Ring players forgotten they're indestructible and just chalice checking, right? Stuff like that is that's not necessarily the best way to play Magic, but in a big tournament you might try and do that to win the game.
Yeah, and it's sorry to interrupt you there, but it's funny that you mention it. It looks like they did draw the combo piece that they wanted, Metamorphic Alteration, and we see Greasefang just scoop it up. And we did see them slam it. Like I said, if you get the combo, you just slam it.
They slammed it, and to really rub salt in the way that played out for the Greasefang player, they actually scooped in the worst, messiest way possible. It's not like they all just came up. It kind of just went into a big ball of mess. And you go to game 2. A very sort of strange game 2 about what you really need to do. They're reaching for this sideboard. They've specifically taken a couple of things, I guess.
Yeah. So for Jack, it's obvious. Graveyard Hate. So we see another Cling to Dust, 2 Go Blanks, and then I think that was a Deep Cavern Bat. The new card from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. I'm not sure why that would have been brought in.
Well, when you can have Thoughtseize, you may as well take 8 and make sure the card isn't relevant, right?
Actually, now that you mention it, Thoughtseize puts it into the graveyard, whereas the Bat exiles it. And because Greasefang doesn't have much removal, the Bat usually sticks around. It's actually not that bad of a shout.
I can see this Bat really just becoming a long-term constructive staple across the Pioneer format over the next couple of years, for that exact reason that sometimes Thoughtseize doesn't work for you, right? But you still would like to disrupt, even silly things like when you're playing against a burn or an aggro matchup, you want to disrupt the curve, but you want them to also not get access to that card again. You also want a little bit of lifelink. It's a great card and a really great printing from recent sets. This is a huge amount of sideboard coming in from the Greasefang player. A little bit unnecessary in my take. I'm gonna guess a couple of those are unlicensed Hearsts. That would make sense.
Yes, yeah. Because of the Cling to Dust blew them out.
A potential couple of enchantment hate pieces, which you're gonna want to have just for keeping up, keeping up on upkeep to start off, or keeping up to blow up the aura.
What about removal? Because the Ledger Shredders actually pose quite a threat to Greasefang in that game 1.
Yeah, because Greasefang will play a Fatal Push in the side rather than main. So bringing those in seems interesting, and maybe just honestly just trimming back on the copters. Ben maybe thought by this point, why did I put these in? We all wanted to try. We all wanted to try it, right? Like the copter when it got unbanned was such a great idea. The card spiked like an absolute stonks of a card. Has settled in now at like that sort of £3 to £4 price, which is probably fair because it's gonna see some play, but. Yeah, this just feels a little bit like a hangover of I needed them out of my train binder, and if I wasn't trading them, I'm playing them. And that was actually a Mosswood Dread Knight that we saw from there. So interesting little sideboard tech. I suppose you want to play the long game.
Yeah, moving into a mid-range plan. That is a cool sort of sideboard idea to have. And maybe if we see Mosswood Dread Knights, we might see a Shieldred or something, if they're going more into a sort of an Abzan mid-range with Greasefang, as a sort of afterthought. We do see a mulligan there from Jack, going down to 6.
One thing we know from Ben's list, Ben isn't running any Shieldreds. To quote him, it's why would I have such expensive cardboard in a deck for fun? I kind of see where he's coming from, so we know that solid sideboard plan hasn't come in, but he's a very, very big Liliana of the Veil fan, so wouldn't be surprised if he had a couple of those.
Lily of the Veil is good, especially since we saw in game 1 that Jack's deck does not have high creature density. Lily of the Veil being able to sack these high value creatures like Ledger Shredder. Oh, what? They're going down to 5 now.
Yep. So there's always a chance. There's always a chance. Although myself in a recent F&M playing against a Lotus Field player who went down to 4, they still killed me on turn 3.
I think
it was
with
unbelievable.
All combo decks, you can go down quite low. With Lotus Field combo, with maybe Creativity combo, and then I guess with his Archfiend combo, because it's only a 2-card combo, you can actually go down quite low and get away with it, as long as you can survive till then, which might not be possible against this Greasefang player. They're probably hoping, especially on the draw.
And they've hit the nuts again for turn 1. So don't like to see the Greasefang, but at least there's a target if they've got a Greasefang in hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Fable Passage.
Yeah, to get a Swamp. And what do we see on turn 2? I think I didn't see anything good in Jack's hand. I genuinely think if they don't draw a Cling to Dust or something, or some other graveyard hate off the top here, I believe Greasefang, Ben's just won if they have Greasefang in the hand. Oh, and we see a Cling to Dust.
Okay, I think I think that sells a lot on Jack's side of things. Of A, they needed card draw, and B, they can't stop an early Greasefang.
They must have needed the card draw because it's quite risky, because now we might see a salvage, and that's exactly what we see. So it might just put more vehicles into the graveyard anyway. So I think,
and there it is. there's the big boy, Parhelion on 2.
I think Jack just hedged his bets and said, if I don't get another land here, I will lose this game anyway. And so just prayed that. I mean, if Ben has Greasefang here, they've won the game at this point. And this is how Greasefang is so powerful. On the play, being able to mill this many cards so early, if they have Greasefang, they will most likely win this game.
Oh, and they must have had the third land, because Restless Cottage came from that Grizzle Salvage, so it's just come in tapped. I say don't have it, but very likely they don't have it. So Stitcher Supplier.
So another Parhelion. So they've got just a huge graveyard here. Although I did see quite a spicy sideboard card in Jack's hand, and that is Go Blank.
Oh, okay.
Which they're probably going to play next turn.
Three mana, get rid of half of the good hits is going to be backbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh, but they missed the land drop.
Oh, they missed their third land. So I think, I'm not sure if Jack has a counter or something in hand, or a removal spell, but I think perhaps again, if Ben has Greasefang, he's won this game.
Okay, well, not doing it pre-combat. We've got him for 2 with the Stitcher Suppliers. There's a Mosswood Dread Knight. Now, what are they looking for? They're looking for what are my hits, I think. They've passed the turn. I really hope they don't think Moss... well... The Go Blank's back.
Well, Go Blank is very backbreaking. We see them immediately draw that land off the top and immediately shock it in. I think Jack has been very lucky here to get those 2 lands off the mulligan to 5, and I think they might be back in this game now. I'm not sure why Ben didn't play anything on his turn, and we did see a Mosswood Dread Knight, so I'm not sure why they wouldn't Dread Whisperers that turn, unless they have another Grizzly Salvage or something.
Well, knowing how adventure spells usually are, I really hope, because they haven't looked at it and gone, I'm going to do it on your end step. Oh, no. They thought it was an instant speed. It's no. Unfortunately, it's a sword.
And they so embarrassingly brought it back to the hand. Oh, and we see Hearse in their hand as well. So 2 sideboard cards there that we can see having been brought in.
Okay, so... thoughts here, potentially not having the land, so maybe looking for the draw, but actually going for the hearse, because that becomes powerful here. Okay, in thought season, they see a Cling to Dust.
Cling to Dust, Archfiend. So it's a stacked hand, really.
Absolutely, it's a good hand. And
apart from the Edict isn't very good. Potentially, I would even say they should have taken the Edict out. I don't think it's good against Greasefang.
You can play around it with Greasefang, right? So,
well, especially with 4 Stitcher Suppliers.
I guess like it's really tricky what your line is, because they're on 3 mana, right, and they got no lands in hand. So, Cling to Dust is the card that you hate to see. So,
I think
you take Cling to Dust and get rid of it.
I think if you're going for the Greasefang strategy, you take Cling to Dust and you unlicensed Hearse it away. However, if you're afraid, you take Archfiend. But in that situation, they play a Ledger Shredder, hold up Cling to Dust, and are you ever going to win that game anyway?
Absolutely. And I think this sort of makes sense. Timing is everything here now for when you trigger your unlicensed Hearse, because you sort of want to make them overuse resources, but they're probably been so shell shocked from the Go Blank. they've gone like, I'm just getting rid of it now. I've seen some bad things happen to me this game. I need to be safe.
Agreed. And also Cling to Dust, it can gain through life later on in the game, which could be relevant with how these Stitcher Suppliers has Jack already down to 12 life. Oh my god, I think I just saw a Metamorphic Alteration drawn off the top. So they've got the combo in hand, they just need another land and another turn.
Another land and another turn. I get the feeling that this Mosswood Dread Knight is needed. it's in the dark spot on our light. We have great lighting here at the Firestone Games, apart from that one spot on the table where everything is shiny. It got them a land. It was unfortunately a fast land, and we're on 3 mana, so it's coming in tapped.
I think here you suicide the Stitcher's Supply, right? Just to get more cards in the graveyard, and you get to deal 1 damage. I don't think the supplies have much value at this point in the game, but they choose to just pass.
There's an argument here that you should just be aggroing with your cottage and your hearse. But okay, there's two Ledger Shredders down. That's a lot of cantripping. They will find their mana here. Yeah,
so here we see Edict go to bin. So they get to see effectively 4 cards here, with the Surveil draw and then 2 loots. So it's looking pretty good for Jack. And it did look like they found that land. So it's likely that next turn they'll be able to play Archfiend, the turn after that, play an Alteration, and hope nothing goes wrong, I guess.
Well, they absolutely found the land. They've been 2 more. So, the tide is swinging slightly. Looking for important, impactful things. To be honest, at this point, nothing's getting replayed from the graveyard, so any 2 will do. The Unlicensed Hearse is on 4.
Yes. Last turn, although I said attacking with Stitcher's Supply was good, maybe they wanted to keep the Stitcher's Suppliers around, because I believe her crew is crew 2. So if they keep the suppliers around, they've got a walking hearse, which can get quite big. It's a 4/4 now, can become a 6/6. It might come down to a race. The life totals are 12 to 16. The Ledger Shredders, they can deal a little bit of damage, but they aren't that threatening at the moment.
Sure. I think they've taken the defensive stance here with the Unlicensed Hearse. The Ledger Shredder is getting in for 2.
Yep, and they do choose to play the Archfiend of the Dross. Now, against other decks that have more removal here, I believe Jack might have chosen to wait a turn or 2 to get up to 6 mana to be able to play Archfiend and Alteration on the same turn, like we saw in the previous game. However, I don't think Greasefang plays much removal, so this isn't that risky anyway. And even if they don't have the combo, it's a 6/6 flyer. Greasefang has a huge clock on them. It's lethal in 2 attacks at the moment.
Yeah, I think really at the moment they're playing Bit of Triumphs, maybe Fatal Pushes in the side. Their enchantment, the removal's coming from Beseiju. So here is again, we talk about suicide attacks. This is a suicide attack if I've ever seen one.
It's just an attack into Archfiend. I think here they really want to trade with Archfiend because it would be really good for them to get the Archfiend off the table. And Jack plays it very safe. He says, I'm not going to die. I'm not going down to 6 life. I'm just going to sacrifice my Ledger Shredder. And wow, we see them drop a Seeker's Chariot. And now it looks like the door is open for the combo.
3 turns too late. Unless they had a Beseiju.
I see. They can crew the Chariot, and then Beseiju costs 1 mana, doesn't it?
Yeah, but is that do they even see that line? Is probably.
Well, I'm not sure about playing. I guess they've lost if they don't play the Chariot anyway. So that's a consideration. And here we see them just drop the Alteration.
No, they don't have it. But they did have a Silence.
No, and they've got an Abrupt Decay. Is that not an Abrupt Decay?
Let's take a look.
Yeah, it was an Abrupt Decay. So they had... Wait, was the other card a Silence, really?
The other card was a Silence. So tapping the mana in a different way and then silencing would have been just in a great spot. So, okay. You sometimes you take your knocks. Sometimes you come to F&M with a spicy new brew. I think they're talking over. Yeah, literally talking over. I had a Silence, and I guess is the the guest is I had a silence. I thought maybe I needed to silence you here kind of question, which obviously was correct. But then, okay, sometimes you just shake these ones off and go on. But a fun little deck from Jack's side of things. Dimir Archfiend is definitely still a threat and will always continue there. There's some great Karloff mana cards coming out, which I'm sure will be able to add to this deck's potency. And I think, unfortunately, for the lovers of the greasy boys out there, I think this deck might be being retired to the folder for a lot of players for the next upcoming season.
I completely agree with you. Graveyard hate is just rife in the format at the moment with Phoenix, so I just don't see a place for Greasefang. I don't think it matches up well against a lot of the meta at the moment.
Let us know in the comments if you think anything different. Just type Greasy Boys for life if you think Greasefang is still there. But I want to see it. I want to see a revival at some point. But hey, I think we're moving on to bigger and better things as we head into the upcoming Pioneer, or fingers crossed, upcoming Pioneer season. Any last final words, Jay?
No, that's all from me today.
Good stuff. Well, we have an upcoming RCQ on the 9th of March for those of you who do play Standard, and we'll have some Standard coming up for you on the channel in the coming weeks. In the comments, there's loads of links, support the channel, blah, 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 etc., etc. Just thank you for subscribing and just hanging out with us. If you're here at the end, even watching the black screen, you're already one of the real ones. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.